Welcome to this week's edition of Phoenix News, exclusively here on Phoenix TV. And of course, the big news was from last weekend was at last the Phoenix got their first win of the season over arch rivals, the Sheffield Steelers. A terrific game on Sunday night, a great game to watch, and I'm sure from the players' point of view, it was a good game to play in as well. It had just about everything. Big hits, plenty of goal-mouth action, end-to-end play. Some, shall we say, contentious refereeing decisions at times. Some antics from the players, most notably Scott Fankhauser doing the belly flop on the ice to imitate a dive and in the process picking up a 10-minute misconduct. But I think he made his point to referee Michael Hicks. Whether Mr Hicks appreciated it or not, well, we'll probably never know that. But the 10-minute misconduct kind of gives you a clue that he actually didn't appreciate it. But what the heck, the main thing was that amongst all the big hits and end-to-end action, was the Phoenix scored twice and the Steelers just the once. Luke Staffiker with his second goal of the game early in the first period, and Sean Stark with that vital power play finish just before the end, and two very valuable points for the Manchester Phoenix after 4 straight defeats. And of course it meant that our nearest and dearest went home across the Pennines with their tails well and truly between their legs. Steelers actually outshot the Phoenix on Sunday night, but shots on goal don't count unless they go in the goal. We got 2, they got 1, we got the points, they didn't, and hurrah for everyone involved with the Manchester Phoenix. Now, news from the club this week, good news and a little bit of disappointing news. The good news is Matt Rich is back in training with the Manchester Phoenix. Matt was down at Sunday to take in the game against the Sheffield Steelers, and he went home again on Sunday night back up to Scotland, but he came back to Manchester on Tuesday and he's been on the ice on Wednesday in training with the boys. And it's probably too early to expect Matt to come back, but the big thing is he is back in full training and he's really looking forward to getting back in the lineup. He always said that his target was to be back in the team before Christmas, even though medical opinion when it was first diagnosed that he had salmonella was that he might not be back until the new year. But Matt steadfastly has decided in his own mind he wanted to be back before Christmas, and now with him back in full training on the ice, that goal looks ever closer, and that really is good news for the young Scot. He's had a terrible summer since contracting salmonella, but he's well on his way back to a full recovery and well on his way back to appearing in a Phoenix uniform once again. Now, the disappointing news from the camp is Jeff McMillan. He's still receiving treatment on his injury. He's receiving therapy and ultrasound treatment on his injured knee. He hasn't yet returned to the ice other than that very brief step onto the ice on Sunday night in the warm-up period when he knew very early on in the warm-up that he was not going to be good to go on Sunday night. Jeff hasn't iced on Wednesday and probably won't ice this week, which means he's highly unlikely to take any part in either of this weekend's games when the Phoenix travel to Edinburgh on Saturday for the first trip north of the border this season, and then return home on Sunday against the Hull Stingrays, which paradoxically is the last visit of the Stingrays to Manchester this season in the league. They've still got to come in the Knockout Cup early in January, but ironic that the first league game against the Edinburgh Capitals takes place on the weekend when we finish our league campaign, certainly at home, against the Hull Stingrays. Phoenix obviously will go into the weekend boosted by that win over the Sheffield Steelers and hopefully looking for a 4-point weekend to really get them back on track and to aid their climb up the table. Now, a little bit of news elsewhere. The Nottingham Panthers have made a goalkeeper change, as you may well have heard already. Rastislav Rovniniak, or Rovniak, whatever his name was, he's a Slovakian. He's on his way out of here. He's been released by the Nottingham Panthers, and they brought in Tom Askey. Tom Askey has got NHL experience, 7 games with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, but that was way back in 97-98, so 10 years ago since Tom Askey, who's a big guy at 6'2", appeared in the National Hockey League. More recently, he's been in Europe. He's had 2 stints in Finland, one with IFK, the Red Cats of Helsinki, and then a follow-up season with Jokerit, also in Helsinki. And then he went back to North America with Kalamazoo, and this season he started in Italy. But he's now the #1 netminder for the Nottingham Panthers, so we'll just have to see whether that was a smart move by Mike Ellis, the Panthers coach, or not. Because if it wasn't, then Mr Ellis could well have some problems, particularly with the Panthers crowd, where the Slovak goalie has just gone, Rusty, let's call him that, it's easier than trying to get my mouth around his surname, was a tremendous fan favourite with the fans in the NIC. Elsewhere within the Phoenix club though, the under-18s are on a tremendous run of form. You're probably aware that they've had a great start to the season. Well, it just goes on and on. They played on Saturday, they played the Solihull Knights in Altrincham. They won 12-5. They had a bit of a rocky start, it must be said. They went a goal behind, drew level, went a goal behind again and drew level. But ran out 12-5 winners. And that means now, with half the season gone for the under-18s, they've played every team in the league. They've beaten every single one of them. They haven't dropped a point. It's a tremendous effort by the under-18s. But of course now the pressure's on for them to keep up that winning run. And who knows, fingers crossed, take it all the way to the end of the season. It's a massive, massive ask for the under-18s. But confidence must be absolutely sky high within the camp. And I think that is recognised by the fact that Tony Hand has invited Phil Hamer and Adam Summerfield, the goalie, to not only train with the Phoenix Elite League squad, but also to join us on the bench whenever they're available when the under-18s aren't playing. So that's really good news for the development side of the junior club. Now this coming weekend, if you're not taking in the trip to Edinburgh in the BMI Baby Elite League, why not pop along to Altrincham FC and take in a game of Blue Square League football at Moss Lane in Altrincham. Both the clubs, ourselves and Altrincham FC, got together a couple of weeks ago and decided that we'd like to co-promote one another's games for this coming weekend. We ran an advert in our programme against the Sheffield Steelers. If you've got that programme and you fancy going to watch the Robins at Moss Lane, then take your programme along and just show the advert in the programme and you'll get in at a reduced ticket price. And in much the same vein, Altrincham football fans have got the same deal in their programme this Saturday against Histon, whereby they can come along on Sunday night and watch the Phoenix versus the Stingrays. So if on Sunday there's some new faces in the building and they don't fully understand what ice hockey is all about, just bear in mind they're probably local people from Altrincham, from the football club. Make them welcome, show them the ropes, and hopefully they could be converted to come and watch the Phoenix on a more regular basis. Well, that's about it for this roundup, or this news part of the roundup. So I'm going to leave you now with a couple of messages from some sponsors and be back shortly. Cheers. Well, welcome back to the second half of Phoenix TV News. And this very special section of today's edition is to promote the Manchester Phoenix Christmas toy appeal for the Royal Children's Hospital in Swinton. It's become an annual event for the Phoenix to send players in Santa Claus outfit to the Royal Children's Hospital in Swinton to bring some joy and cheer to the faces of the children who sadly won't be at home over Christmas due to their conditions, some of them rather worse than others. It's very sad for children not to be able to spend time at home at Christmas with their families, but the Phoenix want to do everything they can to put some smiles on some faces and bring some enjoyment to those children at this time of the year. So, as always, what we're asking for is we're asking for our loyal supporters to dig deep and provide some toys for the children, for the players to take to the children before Christmas. What we'd like, if possible, is new toys. New toys, boxed preferably, or if they're soft toys, please, they have to be bagged and sealed because of the old health and safety regulations and things like that. We really do need those items to be new, bagged and or boxed, as the case may be. We're sure that you'll chip in, as you always have done, in tremendous numbers. Once again, we're really looking forward to sending the players to the hospital, and we've already spoken to the hospital administration and they're really looking forward to the Phoenix players going again and spreading some cheer amongst the children, and we're sure you'll help us do that. Well, that is just about it for this wrap up here on Phoenix News, exclusively on Phoenix TV. So I'm going to leave you with a great big ho ho ho, and we'll see you soon.